Okay, students, we are here simply to wrap up the semester because the presentations took until the last day of class. So this is the unofficial sort of review of the last four topics. As you know, the exam is on Thursday and the schedule is already set. We just have to cover the last four topics in the textbook today. So as usual, they're all over the map, different types of topics. I usually add a little bit to what's in the textbook because the expressions are usually a little bit simple and there's not that much technical language. So in each case, I've sort of added a little bit of vocabulary for you to think about. Let's start with the money one. I think as a student, you all know you're learning how much things cost. And there's obviously you have to spend a certain amount of money, but and saving is very difficult because most of the things you do cost money and you probably don't earn. But basically, you have to have a balance between how much money is going out and how much money is coming in. What did my grandfather used to say? My grandfather used to say, take care of the pennies and the dollars will take care of themselves. So you may or may not be keeping track exactly how much money you're using every month, how much you're given from your parents or how much you're earning from your part-time job, but that's called a budget. And a good way to do this is just to have a daily diary and just write it down. But of course, on your phone, you can use apps nowadays. There's lots of them that keep track of your expenses. So if you watch the little things that you spend, then of course you're going to be able to manage the big items, right? You always pay attention to when you buy a car or something. That's probably not happening yet, but I don't know. You buy something expensive for yourself, a laptop or a tablet or a new phone. You're going to notice that because it's going to, take $1,000 out of your bank account. But probably you're not noticing that every day you go to Starbucks and you buy a coffee, and if you don't keep track of that, you let's say it's Ochun $5 or so, $4 a day, and you do that Monday to Friday for a year, that's going to add up to $80 a month, and then it's going to add up to 12 times that, $500 a year. After a couple years of drinking coffee at Starbucks every day, you could buy a new phone. It's just you don't think about those small expenses every day. So that's just a little piece of advice. Is that if you don't have to be an accountant to manage your own money, but if you're careful about the small things, then the bigger things will be easier to manage. So they talk about spending choices, choosing what you're going to spend your money on. That's how it is. And some people think, oh, well, rich people don't have to make choices. But almost always you hear the story that a rich person wasn't always rich and that they had to make their choices too. That's why poor people stay poor, because they make bad choices. That's not the only reason, but that doesn't help them save money when they make bad choices, right? So prices and money and talking about things that you used to do, habits are involved in this. So you might have a bad habit of spending money on something that you shouldn't. A bad habit, for example, is drinking alcohol. But I know it's fun and you might want to do it. That's your choice. But alcohol doesn't give you anything except for that satisfaction at the time. So it's not an investment You know, it's not something like a phone where you spend the money and then you use it for 2 years or 3 years. Once you buy a drink and you drink it, it's gone. Likewise, if you are a smoker, every time you buy a pack of cigarettes, you consume those cigarettes, they're gone, and then you have to replace them. So it's the type of spending choice that doesn't leave you with anything afterwards. Some things are good investments and they actually increase in value. If you decided to buy something made of gold, or you decided to buy a stock, it's possible that it would increase in value, but most things after you buy them, they depreciate. Even something like a car, you think it's going to be valuable. It's definitely useful, but you buy a car, you drive it for 10 minutes and it goes down in value 10%. Like a used car is a used car. No matter what condition it's in, it's less valuable than something that's driven off the lot. That's why in Korea, you don't get to test drive the cars, because Koreans think that that's not a used car if somebody's driven it. I want to be the first one who's driven the car. All right, so shopping is a part of this. I don't really mind in what aspect you talk about spending or saving or using your money or wasting your money. It doesn't really matter. You choose what aspect of using money that you want to discuss. That's your choice for the exam. Okay. The next topic is chapter 8. It's pretty simple. You can talk about anything that's a process. So the title is step by step, which means you're gonna prepare for something, or use a method, build something. Okay, like in a method, you could talk about a recipe, like how you cook something. In the textbook, they talk about survival strategies, like what you do when you're camping, when you're outside, when you're in the outdoors, how to survive, what kind of things you need to do. You can talk about learning something, like studying for a test, preparing for anything. So any sort of preparation or method which has steps in it. Some kind of strategy for doing something. It can be about yourself, or it can be about someone else, or it can be hypothetical. It can be like, putting together something that you ordered, assembling some sort of machine. Any of those sort of things would be fine. Okay, probably one of the easier topics, describing the process. Okay. The next one, it's just simply called "What's the Matter?" I changed the title for this because you say "What's the matter" when you see somebody and you don't know what's wrong. But I'm gonna include a situation where you know what's wrong. Like these words are much more formal. And you can't go up to somebody and say, "What's the matter?" if something serious has happened. Like, I don't know, they had a car accident, they're in the hospital, somebody got hurt in their family, they broke up with their boyfriend or girlfriend or fiance or something like that. There's a lot of situations where you want to express that you understand how they feel and you're trying to make them feel better, but you can't start the conversation by saying "What's the matter?" Because it's too casual, or you already know what's bothering the person. So consolation is a really formal thing. That's like you say you try to console somebody when they've lost somebody, like for good, like somebody died in their family at a funeral or something like that. Expressing sympathy would be similar, but sympathy can just be, well, I guess you can use both words for both situations. If somebody lost their job, they got fired from their job, they might need consolation. They might need sympathy as well, somebody to make them feel better. If something really serious happened in your life, these are the types of things that you're going to say, right? So you can keep it simple and identify what the problem is or the issue, and explain how you can give them advice, right? Or do something, right? Take some sort of action, right? Suggest something. Do something, to take their mind off it. Like, it depends on what the person likes to do. Maybe the person lost their job, but they love golfing. So, you do some sort of other thing, an alternative to make them feel better. Okay? So it's your choice how you want to handle the situation. This is an imaginary situation, but if it's a real situation, that's okay too. But you're supposed to do something to make this person feel better, whatever it is, okay? The last one is a strange one, I think, but it's also kind of fun. It doesn't really fit into any of the other categories or any of the other topics that we studied. You have to choose some sort of creature, some sort of monster. It can't be real, okay? So it can be a dragon, it can be a unicorn, you can say something from Harry Potter, you can say something from Korean mythology, you can talk about centaurs or satyrs or flying horses or anything from mythology, right? Any of those mythological creatures, or elves or dwarves or something. Those are not exactly beasts, but they're creatures, and they're fantasy creatures. So anything from a mythological background that has some sort of animal characteristic, and has some magical powers or something, and you can get it's a short answer. So all you have to do is describe the monster, and like if it has special powers or something, or it does something unique, like the Sphinx, right? The legendary Sphinx in Greece would go up to somebody and ask them to answer a riddle, and if they couldn't answer the riddle, then they would the Sphinx would eat the person. But if they answered the riddle correctly, then the Sphinx would jump off a cliff and kill itself, which is exactly what happens in one of the stories. So you can tell the story, give a little bit of background. A Sphinx is it's got a human head and the body of a lion, so it's a pretty scary looking creature, and it could eat a human pretty easily. There's the Hydra with 7 snake heads and sort of like a dragon-like body. So anyone that or can find some information on and then tell the story in under 2 minutes is fair game, right? So we're talking about legends and myths and creatures from fantasy stories, like the fantasy genre. All of those are fine, okay? The basilisk that turns people to stone when they look at it, Medusa, all those things that are part animal or part human, they're fine, okay? So that covers the last 4 chapters. You get 1 question from the first 6, don't forget, and then 2 questions from the last 4, and that's all there is to it. You get your 10-minute slot, and then your exam is over and your summer begins. So I'll see you on Thursday. Have a good day.